Let's talk for a moment about the Game of Thrones and the different women characters that show up in that series, and how they may adopt these different archetypes from the Heroine's Labyrinth or may not. What does Daenerys do? How is she fulfilling the Heroine's Labyrinth if she is?
Daenerys is awesome, and I would say she's one of the more dominant heroines of the Game of Thrones story. There's a couple very dominant themes with her. One is the sacred fire, and the other is the beast is ally. In fact, Daenerys is a poster child for the sacred fire. She has sacred fire symbols that are unmistakable. The 3 dragons. And what's interesting about her sacred fire, who literally breathe fire, and she cannot be burnt. So she is loaded with sacred fire symbolism and language. She's Daenerys, the unburnt. She has all this language built into this. So what's interesting about her sacred fire is as she grows, so does her sacred fire symbols. And as her sacred fire symbols become more dangerous, so too does Daenerys. Now, I want to snip off season 8. It's hard to make sense of it, and I don't like tying in really poor writing to this because it throws off the analysis so much that I would rather not engage with it. Her destruction of King's Landing really doesn't make any sense if you understand her sacred fire. I know they went with the break the spoke, thing, but that's not what drove her. That's not what fueled her. So the other thing about the sacred fire is that it's multi layered, right? The heroine, it revolves around the heroine's individuation. It stems from, continuity wise, the native culture. She inherits the Targaryen bloodline. This is absolutely important to understanding her character. She never forgets the Targaryen worldview, nor her role inside that family. She's the queen, right? I am the queen. I am going to take that throne. So her role, she inherited this role. There is a continuity factor. The Targaryen line was almost destroyed. You're one of the final descendants. It'll never come back without you. Well, she ends up caring about this. This fuels her. And then third, there's a masked minotaur. There are people trying to capture her. There's actually a great episode with the warlock. I think his name is Priet. Correct me if I'm wrong. But he has her drink a poison apple, which is a nightshade. He brings her into a tower, right?
The alchemist guy. Yeah.
Yes, he's the bald warlock. He gives her a poisoned apple. She drinks the nightshade, or the shade of the evening, is what they call it in Game of Thrones.
Pyat Pri, I believe. Yeah, Pyat Pri.
Pyat Pri, that's right. Okay. So, and what does he try to steal from her?
I forget. Actually, I forget.
Dragons, her sacred fire.
Okay, they were trying to get one of the dragons. Okay.
Yeah, I think he tried to take all of them. But he was trying to steal her sacred fire. Okay. A common theme for Daenerys that people are trying to steal her. Yes, the dragons. So she drinks it. She becomes disoriented, which is exactly what the poisoned apple is designed to do. Disorients her, puts her into an altered state. And while she's in that altered state, he chains her. Captivity, another goal of the poisoned apple, to capture the princess or heroine, and then to steal her sacred fire, to extract that from her. And in this case, he takes the sacred fire symbols, which were the dragons. Of course, he doesn't get away with this, but you have a beautiful motif with the Heroine's Labyrinth with Daenerys and her sacred fire. And there are a lot. She uses fire to destroy and to conquer. So that is, I would say, like the dark feminine for her, the use of the sacred fire as a destroyer. She does it in the, I forgot what it's called now, the Dothraki. The Dothraki house where all the women are.
Right. Yeah. At their sacred village and stuff like that, where their house. I forget what that is, but yes, right. Yeah. She burns that. Yeah, she burns that. Right.
So she's got that, and if you watch, there are this sacred stealing her sacred fire is a common. This motif repeats. In fact, there's another poisoned apple. Someone, the guys at King's Landing tried to poison her with wine. Remember, there's a wine merchant. He's like, you'll like this one. And I think it's Ser Jorah is onto it.
Get you right. Yep, helps her out there.
Right, and he was going to. I think he was part of the conspiracy and decides to intervene to break up the poisoning of Daenerys. So you see this repetitive theme with her in a couple different episodes. However, she also has and this is one that a lot of heroines in Game of Thrones have. The beast is ally. Daenerys has one of the best in Khal Drogo. He is the ultimate beast as ally figure. Her, the smaller, white clad feminine character with the large, darker, beastly male masculine character. It's the perfect match for the Beast as ally. And what does the Beast as ally always do? He adopts the heroine's cause. And what about that scene where he pours the gold on her brother's head and he dies, and Drogo gives this impassioned warrior speech about how he is going to get the throne for the queen. He's going to take the iron horses across the salt sea. He's going to, or the Dead Sea where you can't survive. And what does he call it?
The wooden horses. The wooden horses are referring to ships from that. But yeah, they're going to cross the ships. Cross the sea with all the horses. Yes.
He's going to take Westeros. He's going to give her the Iron Throne, and he's going to do this. So Khal Drogo adopts the heroine's cause, and it costs him his life. By the way, he ends up dying. But he's a beast in a pure form. And in the book, I don't talk about this too much on the channel yet, but in the book, you'll see I take the Beast as ally to more advanced variants. And one of the variants is the Bridal Ambassador. So, so one of the things I talk about in the book that explains the Beast as ally is I call it xenopathy. And it's the heroine's ability to identify with an unlike being. And that's why I give it's not empathy. It's like, oh yeah, I feel sorry. You feel sorry. I feel that. I get you. I empathize. Or it's not sympathy. Oh, that happened to you. I feel bad for you. This is xenopathy, the ability to build a bridge and to understand someone who is not like you. It's like an alien, someone different, a beast, and to be able to build that relationship. So the Beast as ally is a common theme. However, one variant is the Bridal Ambassador, in which the heroine is married off to a foreign groom. So this dichotomy immediately rebuilds itself, archetypally speaking, as a Beast as ally type being. So that's why Khal Drogo is perfect. Not only is he the Beast as ally, she's also a Bridal Ambassador. She's horse traded into this marriage with him in the first season, and she marries him. So she's a Bridal Ambassador also. The third variant is what I call the female diplomat. It's not a Bridal Ambassador. It's not a medieval marriage into a foreign groom. It is literally a woman who is an ambassador, like Christian Avasarala in The Expanse. I love her. She's a great female diplomat. But Padme Amidala is another female diplomat. So you get this archetype, and her ability to be able to forge relationships with unlike beings or unlike cultures is this natural phenomenon. There's a book that came out in 2014 called Rise of the Female Diplomat. And I think it's because of this ability in heroines to build these bridges. So Daenerys exhibits some of these traits on the Beast as ally frame. Many of the heroines in Game of Thrones follow the Bridal Ambassador path. Sansa, Talisa marries Robb Stark, and there's this great back and forth with them where she's like, my mother told me about the Northmen, they're stinking barbarians and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, the beast. They're not human. They're beast-like. And another one is famous, Ygritte and Jon Snow. They're not just foreign cultures. They're bitter enemies. Their relationship through Ygritte allows the eventual, not just bridge, but the alliance between the wildlings and the Night's Watch. And, he's called a crow. She calls him Crow, which is another animal totem, I call it. Whatever, crow. So you get this a lot in Game of Thrones. So you do get a lot of these archetypes baked right into Game of Thrones. What's interesting, and this is good advice, I would think, for writers of like TV series or you can repeat the archetypes. You just have to change the expression, and it has to be consistent, I think, with your story. You know nothing, Doug Burton. That's awesome.
Catelyn did that, the Bridal Ambassador, because Catelyn, she's married to Ned Stark.
Totally.
At the beginning, she did that. Cersei does that.
Remember Cersei's dialogue? She's like, I remember my wedding night, and he was like black, bearded, and fierce, and her idealized or romanticized version of this of her beast groom. And then he's drunk. He climbs on top of her and he whispers another woman's name in her ear. And she never forgave him for that. So, yeah, a lot of these characters remember their bridal ambassadorship, and not fondly. It's not always a positive in Game of Thrones.
Going back to Daenerys, how does Khal Drogo's death relate to his role as a beast and ally? Is this a subversion of an archetype? How does that work? And then also, I think Druden Fuzz brings up, I think it could lead into that Jorah, how does Jorah fit into Daenerys' story? Beast as ally, his family heraldic symbol is a bear.
Totally agree. He is a beast as ally. So a beast as ally is someone who adopts the heroine's cause. When Ser Jorah prevented her from being poisoned, he fundamentally changed his mission. Remember, his mission was eventually to see to it that she was killed. He was a gift to her, if I remember right. Oh, he changes that. He adopts the heroine's cause, and he becomes one of her most loyal protectors. You know, the idea of the male protector, or not, I shouldn't say male, masculine protector, the beast, you know, protect the mountain does it to Cersei as a zombie. You know, he's brought into service to protect Cersei around the clock. So Druden Fuzz, you're 100% correct. Ser Jorah is another beast as ally, and he does have an animal totem. You totally pinpointed it. However, one of the things about the beast as ally is that when they adopt the heroine's cause, they do so to the death. Now, luckily, hopefully, the hero or the beast doesn't die. Like Han Solo, he makes it to the end, you know. But Khal Drogo is the beast that pays the ultimate price. He adopts the heroine's cause, and he is killed by a witch before he's able to fulfill this promise. And this throws her entire storyline in a disarray. And I would also like to go back to Catelyn Stark. She also has some dialogue dedicated to her marriage with Ned, but she also has an awesome Shield Maiden moment. I love it. It's in season 1. Bran is pushed out the window, right? Oh my God,
Jamie.
Jesus. He was one of my favorite characters. Anyway, shoves Bran out the window, but Bran survives. Bran's laying in bed, paralyzed, and Catelyn walks in at some point, and there's an assassin in Bran's room, and he has a knife. And as he rears back, Catelyn rushes in and grabs the blade with her bare hand and staves off the assassination attempt. And I'm like, man, the Shield Maiden is a sight to see. They grabs the blade by its hand. This is what I'm trying to say. It's super rational. This is not reason. This is not rational. It's super rational. It succeeded at solving the saving his life. She didn't think about it. She didn't calculate anything. She didn't say, what's the best way to attack this guy? Should I attack this guy? Should I call for help? None of that was registering. She charged in and grabbed this guy's blade, and it ripped open her hand, sliced her hand open. So Catelyn is the Shield Maiden in season 1, and it's awesome.